Hello again, Indiana high school football fans, and welcome back to the Hoosier Prep Gridiron Weekly Podcast. I'm your host, Tim Phillips, and we're back with another edition of the Coach's Corner, where we talk with Indiana high school football coaches throughout the state. We're back with an old friend of ours, head coach Steve Moriarty of the Tippecanoe Valley Vikings. Hello, Coach. Good to see you again.
Hey, good to see you.
Good, good. Well, it's kind of the middle of the winter. We're starting to get a little bit closer to spring. I'm sure you have some fun, challenging weather up there in your area. Tell us a little bit about what the Vikings are up to this winter, as you guys are. I know you've got a very solid strength and conditioning program there at Tippecanoe Valley. Most of the other teams you play know that as well. You guys are usually a big, strong, physical football team. Just whenever you run up against anybody, whether it's conference or out of conference. So, what's been the focus this off season? And tell us a little bit about how the team is improving.
We're a smaller 3A program, so we have a lot of different athletes that are in a lot of sports, which we encourage. I like the multiple sport athletes. One, it just keeps them in shape quite a bit, and it works different muscle groups. Basketball and even swimming, and especially wrestling. It prepares them for football more than what they think. But in the off season, we have our strength coach Brandon Webster. He's done a great job with our program, and our school has always been very gracious. And this year, with the new weight room facilities, which rivals a lot of small colleges. I mean, if I'd have seen that when I was in school, I'd have flipped my lid there a little. I couldn't have believe
Oh
how
yeah,
huge
yeah,
it is and nice, and I
beautiful.
think that's used a little bit for motivation, that the nice facilities, and we've had good buy-in so far out of our athletes. I think that we have currently that are able to lift that aren't in other sports. We've been up around the 85 mark percent wise. That 15%, those guys are working. So,
Mm-hmm.
but we also have embedded in our school a strength and conditioning program during school as well. So not only do they have the opportunity to lift, after school at our Viking Strong program, they do have advanced weightlifting classes in school too. So we make sure that all our athletes are pushing forward so
You
far.
bet.
So
Well, I always like to give football teams the look test, and I've watched you guys streaming online many of your games over the past 2 or 3 years, and you fill out your uniforms a little bit more than just about everybody you play. I think the only team I ever saw that kind of matched you there was probably Chittard a couple of years ago in the tournament, and another big strong football team. Let's talk a little bit about last year, Coach. I want to brag on your numbers here first. Coach Moriarty is entering his ninth season at Tippecanoe Valley. 57 wins, 29 losses overall. The program has 35 wins over the last 4 seasons, so a whole lot of success. Just a little from a historical perspective, Valley transitioned out of the Three Rivers Conference 2 years ago into the Indiana Northern State Conference last year for the first year. After 3 straight years with 9 or 10 wins. You guys went 7-4 last year, first year in the conference. Clearly, upgrade in competition. Knox, LaVille, Bremen, Jimtown, Glenn. Great collection of schools. How was your first year? How would you characterize that first year in the conference? What surprised you, if anything, was the level of competition, where you expected to be, and what did your group, you and your staff and your kids learn coming out of last fall?
I think, the year prior when we were ranked, I think third in the state and got knocked off by Chittard their first round of sectionals. We were senior dominant, and we lost 16 seniors, and all of them started. And then coming into this season, only having 7 seniors, we knew that this would be a little bit of a rebuilding year. And then coming into a new conference as well. So we were going to use this year to always, to be competitive, but to, win as much as we can and win the conference. And, when you see back-to-back weeks of strength and schedule, there's no time off, which is a good thing because that's why we did it, right? We wanted to prepare ourselves to be more competitive during sectionals. I mean, I like conference titles. I think they mean a lot. But our end goal is to, eat turkey in the dome, as we always say. And how do we prepare our team and improve our program to get there? Well, I think you need to up your competition a little bit with 3A programs such as, Gemtown and Glenn and Knox, of course, and so on and so forth, and Bremen competitive every year. And even LaVille being such a strong program at a smaller school, they've always had success. So in the different types of offenses you see too also prepare you mentally. And I think last year, it was a growing year for us, but at the same time, we did make strides going forward. And even our off-season games by Hammond Morton coming down a 5A program and facing, 3 D1 athletes that you didn't see in the past, made it challenging. And I think we got better from those games. And Western being a bigger 4A program. And we'll do the same thing this year. Our non-conference games are pretty, stout competition. But I think what we've learned the most is that you can't take weeks off, and preparing in a short amount of time is very important.
Well, I'm looking at your schedule. You don't have any off weeks. You're opening up with Plymouth, and obviously that program took a huge leap forward last year under Coach Handley. I think surprised everybody in the entire state, not even in the local area. You got your longtime rival Rochester, the Zebras, in week 2. This Hamilton Heights game, is that a new game on your schedule for this year?
That is, we picked them up here at the end of the season, and we'll travel there. In the past, they've had great success as well.
Oh, yeah. That's a great non-conference 3A matchup. Coach, athletic directors love 8-team conferences because it's a lot easier for them, to schedule football games. That gives them 7 conference games, 2 non-conference games, usually a lot of flexibility. Where is the Indiana Northern State heading relative to membership? Do you see the current 6 schools pretty well locked in, or is the conference open to possible expansion, whether it be public or private?
I don't think any conference would be not entertain, another school coming in. It's always, you're always trying to prove also as a conference, in general. And I don't think that would be out of the realm to add another team or 2. I know that we're satisfied with the core that we have. It's been nice to get some, even of the new rivals. Back in the day, Bremen and Gemtown and us were pretty in the 90-ish era where we play a little bit more. Those rivals started to start out, and I think you're seeing those come up again, and I think that makes for a stronger conference the better rivals you have. And with Radke and Knox, that's an automatic rival.
Oh, absolutely.
They play the brand of football that we play, and it's been refreshing to see the competition. And I think the head coaches that we have, at least in the football area, are very tight knit, and we try to make sure that we communicate for all conference and things like how do we improve to make sure that we're getting the recognition that our kids deserve and the conference deserves as it comes up. So that's been good to work with them as well. So I think that to answer your question are we entertaining? I don't know if we're out searching, but I don't think we'd ever turn around or turn away anybody that might be interested. Sure. So that we would consider them.
Just a couple more things, Coach, and I'm sure you have a busy day today at school. Who are a couple of the kids that are really having outstanding winter seasons, whether it's in the weight room, whether it's in speed development, whether it's playing another sport? Maybe 2 or 3 guys that you're really counting on to be leaders on and off the field for the team next year.
I think, we have a large senior group coming back, or they're coming in this year, 14 seniors. we've been very proud of our off-season kids, the ones that even graduated. Colton Crab making it to the state championship in wrestling or semi-state. Parker Adamson being one of our sophomores that made it in wrestling quite far. And we've got a couple basketball players that are, they're 16-4 right now, or 17-4, and Owen Omandi coming out and really, yes, he's playing basketball, but he's in my eyes, he's a football player,
Sure.
so it's always good to see our football players do well on the other sports as well. But I think leading by example in the weight room this year, in the off season has been Wes Parker, Grady Moriarty, Carlos Gonzalez. And we've had a lot of those kids that are seniors that are going to come up that'll have one of those that'll be impact players on and off the field. And even for going down just a little bit into our junior class coming up, they've had good numbers as well. So, but I've been very proud of that senior class for the way they've been showing up. And a lot of them have 4-H and other outstanding things like Hudson Shepherd, but they always make time for the weight room. And I think that, with our senior leadership classes and stuff to be good leaders, I think putting those things together with the weight room hopefully will make for a good dynamic coming this fall.
Well, I can imagine there's a lot of peer pressure when it comes to that new weight room over there. And the young kids, they see the older kids spending all that time in the weight room, and they want to be like the big guys, So that's a great culture that you've built there. Hey, last thing we'll touch on, we talked a little bit about this before we started, was recruiting. And, you've had some guys, that have moved on and played at the next level. The whole recruiting game with the transfer portal, with NIL, is happening, and it's generally understood that it's getting harder and harder for high school seniors to get recruited. And whether it's at the Division II, Division III level, even at the Division 1A level, because of the transfer portal. What are you seeing? What are you hearing? Maybe even from kids, from parents, and maybe from some of the in-state small and mid-sized colleges that are looking for talent. Is it in fact getting tougher for these seniors, or is it just perception?
No, I think it is without a doubt become more harder to recruit kids. And we're having to be more creative on getting their names out there. A lot of the times back in the day, they didn't have the showcases and Twitter or X or whatever it's called. Sorry, best at that. But they didn't have that back in the day. And so you were how you did in the season. And if you were all state and in all conference, you got recognized, you got to look, you got your film looked at. Nowadays, you have to create highlight films, post them, update them, contact the coaches, questionnaires, and go to some of these showcases that can get your name out there a little bit more. It's almost like advertising yourself, you would say, self-promotion. And we've tried to give some of our players some of those educational tools on how to do that. And as a coach, I try to make sure anytime a school reaches out, we create a profile sheet for each college or each kid that would like to play college football. And we share that sheet with them that has all their X information and Instagram accounts and huddle links so that they can go and watch them. And talking with IU's coach here, just earlier, I think in January, he said too, it's becoming tougher for high school kids to get recruited because of when they get in their season. About January 9th is when they look at high school kids. But before that, they're still in the porthole trying to find other transfers. So they have to recruit double when they used to only recruit once, and that's been, they said it's tougher on them even to be able to go and look at some kids. So, and I think this will be an ongoing problem as things arise.
Yeah, I read something yesterday that it's almost like for some of the high school kids, the senior season doesn't matter anymore. If they're not on the radar as sophomores and juniors, it's really, really tough when you're a senior if you're unsigned. I hear a lot of it from players and even parents on the webpage. There's a lot of frustration out there because of the process, and not an easy thing for them to go through. We do what we can to try to promote the kids And
Yeah.
we'll continue to do that this year through we developed a Hoosier Prep Gridiron recruiting portal that a lot of kids have gotten into. We have a lot of college coaches that are looking at the web page, and if we can help one or two kids get placed at the next level, it's well worth it. Well, great to see you again, Coach. I'm sure you're having another productive off season. And best of luck to the Vikings with spring football. What are your two or three top priorities for spring football? And then we'll let you go.
For spring football is making sure that we're going to try to install some different things to use maybe our size different than we have in the past, and that continuity of the offensive line. Yes, we've got 4 out of the 5 returning, but we need to make sure that we're all on the same page and working on communication and getting the fundamentals down of just our base footwork, so that when we get into the summer, we're not fine tuning those things. We're practicing. I guess we are fine tuning. We're not installing. So during spring practice, we want to make sure that we're working on our fundamentals and some of our base plays as we get ready for summer.
Very good. Well, have a great spring, Coach. Best of luck to the kids in the program, and I'm sure we'll be back in touch with you before the season begins.
Thank you again for all you do for Indiana high school football. It's a sport that I think is growing and continues to grow throughout the United States, and I think Indiana football is good football, and high school football that you promote these kids and promote our programs. It means more to us than what you will ever know. So thank you for what you do for high school football.
Appreciate that. Have a great day.
All right, take care.